Was this a video that we had seen before? Sort of, Voltron thing? Huh. Well, this is issue, official US PlayStation Magazine, issue number 54. Demo disc. Let's skip over this. Okay, load. I feel like this is a demo that we've seen before. Monsters, Inc. I've never seen that movie. I've seen parts of it, but by the time this came out, I was at a point where, like, the Pixar movies or Disney movies or any of those kinds of kid-oriented family films weren't really interesting me anymore. Skip over the title. Come on. This is a PlayStation 1 disc. So there's a big difference that we've seen in the past several episodes since the PlayStation 2 discs have been coming online. It's that the PS2 discs have a whole lot of extra content. Now, they always had gameplay demos, and then they had some videos for other games. But the PlayStation 2 had a whole lot of extra space on its DVD as opposed to the CDs that we're seeing for the PlayStation 1. Yeah, this is a demo I already played.
Great, you made it.
Yay, I made it. So this one's going to feel kind of anemic by comparison. In an argument that I've made 100 times before on this. This series was... There we go.
Great, you made
The
it.
demo discs, playing through all the demo discs, have given kind of like a compressed timeline and a fairly linear one of the advancement of developers being able to work on the PlayStation 1. How games can, by the time you've reached the end of the generation, can appear to be quite a bit different than they did in the earlier generation. How developers gain a better understanding of how to work on the console, all that kind of stuff. And games like this, there's no reason to think that this could not have been done in the first year of the PlayStation 1. I mean, the console didn't have hardware updates, the console didn't have software or firmware updates, or things like that. Imagine the only real difference between the beginning and the end of the console cycle was that Sony had developed more advanced APIs, things that were more efficient. Supposedly, the early PlayStation 1 APIs that they expected everyone to use were horribly inefficient, and like companies like Naughty Dog had to go and sort of create their own programmer interfaces in order to take better advantage of the hardware. I imagine Sony with their dev kits had updated them or updated the software or something to just work better. And on top of that, you have... But anyway, the point being, the console never changed. The PlayStation 1 made in 1995 could play games that were made in 1999. Why? Because, well, it's the same machine. But this looks so much different than the stuff we had seen in that first episode of Demo Disc Theater that you'd have to say, like, geez, this is just... doesn't even look like it just came out on the same console. In fact, if you had games like this at the time, people would have... If you had shown a demo of this off, people would have assumed that you were, like, lying to them, that this wasn't something that was actually running on a PlayStation. Now, let's get out of this. I've already played this demo. I don't know what to do here anyway. Let me just save state at the menu so I don't have to watch these videos heading out. Sheep Raider. This is another one I think I played already. Looney Tunes. Infograms. Yeah, okay. PlayStation 1 was absolutely a interesting console when it came to sort of the hardware limitations and what Sony could actually manage to do with it. From a console from 1994, not 5, I think. Yeah, definitely played this already. That was a problem with the PlayStation 1 discs for the PlayStation, official US PlayStation magazine, as you sort of got towards the end of when they were still publishing PlayStation 1 demos. There we go. The PlayStation 2 is the new hotness, and that's what everybody was interested in. So a lot of the games that were still coming out for the PlayStation 1 were more or less just like stuff that I don't think anybody was, other than sports games, which tend to hang on forever. A lot of the PlayStation 1 games that were still coming out were ones that were more or less just in the pipeline when the PlayStation 2 released. So there weren't any really big releases anymore. I could think of a couple of games that were notable, I guess. Maybe the Spec Op games or something like that. That were kind of a big deal. But the PlayStation 1 was a has-been by this point. So there wasn't a lot of effort put into PlayStation 1. So these demo discs, like, well, we got to make a demo disc, and we're doing this alternating PS1, PS2 thing. Okay, let's get out of this. So they ended up having a lot of demos that we had already seen before. Kind of disappointing. I was really disappointed with my subscription by this point. Because, like, well, I didn't get a PS2 at launch, but I got one fairly early in its life cycle, within the first year. So I had these demo discs that I was getting from the magazine, and I'm playing them, and like, oh, well, every other month a PlayStation 1 disc would come out, and, you know, it wouldn't even be good games. It would just be kids' games or the same demos over and over again.
The Phantom virus is still out there.
Oh, God, shut up. Alright, so this is new. Like, I never liked Scooby-Doo at all, much less when I was a teenager. Whoa. Okay, it's a platformer. Fucking Loch Ness Monster. See, we're looking at sort of a Crash Bandicoot-y kind of thing. I don't know if they... Damn it, Scooby. I don't know if they... It does feel kind of like Crash Bandicoot, a little bit slower. Not as... Oh, I can throw pancakes. The controls aren't quite as tight as Crash Bandicoot. You fucker. Just throw a pancake at him. A friggin' Triceratops. Oh, God, this is terrible. Why are we in Jurassic Park? What? What just happened? I'm running out of patience here. It's definitely not as refined as Jurassic Park, and it doesn't look as good at Jurassic Park. I mean, Crash Bandicoot. It doesn't look as good as Jurassic... Fuck, I was about to say it again. What the hell's wrong with me? Am I high? I must be. It doesn't look as good as Crash Bandicoot. The character model isn't as well formed. The environments don't have as much detail. And given that Crash Bandicoot was an early PlayStation 1 game, and they ended up making better looking sequels later on in the generation, I'd say that maybe this is not, let's say it's not excusable, but that's, damn it. Crash Bandicoot was a game that was very much made out of the box in terms of like the technology of the PlayStation 1, because a lot of it was what they were able to do graphically. PlayStation was limited in terms of, I think I talked about this last time we had a Crash game on this series. The PlayStation didn't have a hardware ability to sort of do sorting, like Z-buffer kind of things. So you'd have to do all that in software. You'd have to calculate all that kinds of things in CPU. So you'd have to figure out, okay, what is visible in front of something else. Alright, so, you have... Finally. There you go. This game's not really shoved, because the camera's pointed down a little bit. It's not... Look how I can just walk to the side. In order to save CPU cycles, Naughty Dog had opted to, instead of having some sort of on-the-fly CPU-based sorting algorithm, what they did was they had a lookup table. So you would have, like, oh, well, at this part of the level, this item was always going to be hidden behind this item. This tree, or this shrub, or this bush, or this hill was going to obscure what was behind it. So they don't have to render as much, and they don't have to use the CPU to keep track of what is or isn't going to be displayed at once. Definitely not the way that the PlayStation 1 was intended to be used, but it worked fine for them because they knew what they were doing and they could figure out how to make it work. I don't know, we're kind of locked into an on-rails camera here, so it kind of makes me believe that the developers of this game have done the same thing. But Naughty Dog did it so they could push more polygons onto the screen, whereas it doesn't look like that's what we're doing here. So if that wasn't necessary, maybe they should have had the camera pan around side to side with Scooby, instead of just kind of Crash Bandicooting around. Okay, fuck it, I'm out of here. Twisted Metal Small Brawl. I was a fan of the Twisted Metal series for the first two games. And to be fair, I'm not quite sure how much the second game I played, but I absolutely loved the first game. And the second game was supposedly better. Maybe I haven't played it. Maybe I have. Hell, I can't remember anymore. It was just decades ago. But by this point, I had kind of lost interest in the Twisted Metal series. Like, it's all right. But, you know, it just wasn't, the new, Twisted Metal was an interesting thing. So it was sort of like, more heavy metal version of Mario Kart. And by the time you got, like, there's only so many times you're going to play that. Okay, there we go. There's only so many times I'm going to play that formula and still be interested. I ended up thinking that other game series like Vigilante 8 might have actually been better. Another example of a game that looks pretty good for its generation. Although we're like playing as RC cars or something here instead of with full Twisted Metal. For some reason, I remembered Small Brawl being a PSP series, not a PS1 series. You know, because it's small. I remember there were Twisted Metal games that I played on this show, but I like how the when I'm aiming upwards, my ammunition has a kind of ballistic trajectory. At least it's what it looks like. They fly up and then they sort of like arc down. Or no, I'm imagining that. That's not actually happening. Hey, look, we have like battery indicators on the side. Where's he at? The environment that we're playing in is really small. Really small. Die, damn it. Why are you still alive? There we go. Congratulations. Yeah, this just didn't have any magic for me anymore. I played some Twisted Metal Black, which was a PS2 game. But, you know, I didn't really... Like I was saying, the magic was gone. E.T. And I played, No, I did not play the PS3 Twisted Metal game. I just didn't feel any interest in it. E.T., my god. I was one of those unfortunate people that played E.T., the Atari 2600 game. And it's a bad game. Let's be clear about this. It's a bad game. A lot of people say it's the worst game ever. It's not the worst game ever, but it is really bad. Hopefully this is better. Oh, God. Now, I'm not old enough to have... Get the fuck away from me, you weird monster. What's happening? What is this? Is that what I had to do? Yes, it is, apparently. E.T. for the 2600 is this game that has a horrible reputation. And has such a horrible reputation that you get these hipsters that go around nowadays saying, you're like, oh, get the fuck away from me, you fucking weirdos. Oh, he's dead. Oh, no, he's not. You get these hipsters that go around saying now that... Now, actually, E.T. was a great game. Just people didn't understand it or people didn't try playing it. And I watched this sort of weird documentary where they were digging up the cartridges that were buried in a landfill for some reason. People like why is it why did they go out of their way to bury them out in the desert? Like, it's a landfill. What the hell else was to do with garbage? The game was garbage. E.T.'s getting high. But anyway, there was this idiot on that show that said, like, well, actually, it's a great game. People say it's the worst game ever, and I asked, did you play it? It's like, yes, I did play it. Did you? The fucking game is trash. It's buggy as fuck. You fall in a hole, and you move, and then you fucking fall right back in the goddamn hole. You have a certain number of steps. There's no fun. There's no fun at all, just like there's no fun in this. But anyway, I wasn't old enough to have been somebody who would have played anything on the 2600, really. But my parents had a 2600 before I was born, and I guess E.T. was popular and they got the game. Anyway, they had a 2600, and that was my first game console. There was that, and then there was an Intellivision that we had. So that was my first gaming experience, was playing on the Atari 2600 and the Intellivision. the Atari VCS and then in television. So I sort of, even though I wasn't old enough to be a part of that generation, that's sort of like where I began gaming. So my kind of like weird early childhood gaming nostalgia is for those games, but definitely not E.T. E.T. was a pile of diarrhea diapers. What the fuck? Alright, so this... maybe it's not as bad as the 2600 game, but it certainly is bad. What is this thing anyway? Are we like in E.T.'s homeworld or something? Is this what E.T.'s homeworld looks like? If so, I feel sorry for this weird little fuck. I definitely liked the movie E.T. when I was a kid, or at least I was told anyway, that I watched the movie a whole bunch of times. Although, to be honest, I don't think I've seen that movie in 20 years. But for some reason, I keep confusing E.T. with the movie Mac and Me, which was definitely a ripoff of E.T. And another, a truly bad movie. Mac and Me was as bad of a movie as E.T. the game was a game. As bad of a game. So do I put you on top of this? What's these green guys? Alright, that's enough of this. Jax and Daxter. It's a PlayStation 2 game, so it's going to be a video. I would say the PlayStation 2 really excelled in the, we've seen this video before. PlayStation 2 really excelled in terms of the sort of action platformer games. Because you had Jax and Daxter, which was what Naughty Dog did when they lost Crash Bandicoot.
Hey, baby. What do you say you and I go cruising? Rule number 1.
Yeah, we definitely saw this video. Then you also had Ratchet and Clank, which... fuck, what's the name of the company that did that? Whatever. Ratchet and Clank. You also... like, Sly Cooper was another example. Whereas, like, well... I guess the Xbox wasn't really known for platformers. It was more of a, like a first-person shooter and fighting game console. And the GameCube had plenty of platformers, because, you know, that's basically what Mario's almost always been. But I didn't really care for Super Mario Sunshine. Or the Legend of Zelda games, which aren't really platformers. So I shouldn't have brought them up. The Legend of Zelda games that came out for the GameCube. How many were there? Was there only one? Whatever. Naughty Dog has always been, or at least ever since Crash Bandicoot anyway, been sort of technical wizards. So this game ended up looking a lot better than you'd think it would, even for a PlayStation 2 game. Just like Crash Bandicoot looked better than you'd expect from PlayStation 1.
Can't seem to catch a single fish in this river.
Woo! Baby.
And of course they moved on. They sort of abandoned this whole kid-friendly gameplay style and graphical style and personality and all this other kind of stuff when they moved to the PlayStation 3 and they did the Uncharted series. As well as The Last of Us. First Last of Us came out for the PlayStation 3. They came out with a lot of games in that generation. 4 games from the one studio. It's kind of a shame that Jax and Daxter... Is this even a series that gets releases anymore? When was the last one that came out? Was there a... There was like a PS Vita game or something, wasn't there? Anyway, it's kind of a shame because Sony has a lot of characters in their in their pocket in terms of like what they've come out with before. Whereas Nintendo is really good about leveraging their legacy characters with things like Smash Brothers and all that kind of stuff. Sony has never really been that good at it, but they have a lot of characters and series and stuff in their past that they could leverage in the same way. But you get these awkward situations where you have something like Jax and Daxter, which Naughty Dog developed, and it's so associated with Naughty Dog that I wouldn't feel right about somebody else handling it. But at the same time, Naughty Dog has kind of moved on. I mean, they seem to get stuck. They're stuck in this kind of cycle of Uncharted and Last of Us games, and I'd like to see them stop developing games in those series and make something new. But it's not a multi-dev team studio, or at least I don't think it is. So they don't have a division going and make Jax and Daxter games. They're Jax and Daxter's firmly in their past. And since I would not like to see anybody else handle that series, it kind of means that Jax and Daxter is dead. Batman Vengeance. I've never played this game. I liked Batman movies, like the Michael Keaton movies, but Batman kind of like fell off the... the animated series that was in the 90s, I liked that. When I was a kid anyway. If I tried watching it now, I guarantee you I would probably hate it.
In a city on the brink of chaos.
It's played at the beginning, didn't it? Well, I guess maybe we should watch it.
Shall rise.
Yeah, this definitely seems to use the art style of the animated series from the 90s. But anyway, I was never anybody who read comic books. So my exposure to these comic book characters was always in cartoons or movies. And I liked the first two Batman movies, but I didn't see them that often. So the Batman animated series was pretty much where I knew Batman from. And that seems to be what this... So, why didn't I ever play this? Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3! Tony Hawk was a great series. Kind of, like, overdid itself. But it was definitely a good one. It's definitely a lot of fun. But they did so many of them that I got tired of it. I got tired of it before most other people did. I know a lot of people like talk about like, oh well, Underground, Tony Hawk Underground was a great series, and it sort of like introduced these sort of semi-open world environments to go and do all these other kinds of things. And I played it a little bit, but like Tony Hawk 2 was definitely, in my opinion, the peak of its, not just its popularity, but I guess maybe the Underground game's gameplay was better. And this was honestly probably, I don't think I played 3, but 3 was probably better than 2, especially since like the technical constraints were removed. But it does definitely seems like a game that was very much made in the vein of the first 2 games before they tried doing all this extra stuff. But I had fallen off the Tony Hawk bandwagon earlier than most people had. And we're back where we started. So that was a half an hour of demo discs. 29 minutes of demos. From here on out, I think it's all PlayStation 2 games. I think this is the last PlayStation 1 game demo disc released for the official US PlayStation magazine. So going forward, all of these episodes are going to be a lot longer. So I put a lot more stuff on the PS2 discs. I tend to be splitting those up into 2 episodes. End of an era. And it was an era that couldn't end fast enough for me at the time. But kind of looking back on it now, at least for the sake of this series, I would have liked it if there was a few more interesting PlayStation 1 demo discs. I'm going to be searching through my closets because there were some other demo discs that I had gotten hold of over the years for the PlayStation 1. Some of them only had one game on them, which would make for an awkward episode, but I'm gonna seek them out and try them anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching.